Hello everyone and welcome to this week's game development log video diary, and this week I've been adding a variety of tweaks and optimizations to the engine, as well as adding a little bit of Christmas cheer into the game. So first off this week I added particle effects into the Equilinox engine, and I basically just rewrote the particle code from the Soccer One engine, so if you want to see all the features of the particle system then you can check out this video that I made ages ago about the same particle system in Soccer One. I'm not completely sure what I'm going to be using them for yet, but I thought it would be quite cool to have some localized weather like this so that different biomes can have their own weather systems. You might also have noticed that the world is now an island in the middle of a low poly ocean, and I extended the visibility a bit so that it's now only the ocean surrounding the land which fades out into nothing rather than any part of the terrain itself. Also this week I've been adding a few optimizations to the engine to make sure that it's fully optimized before I move on to the gameplay side of things. So firstly I added a slight optimization to the water mesh generator to make sure that it now only generates triangles that are above the height of the terrain. So if I stop the terrain from being rendered here, you can see that any triangles of the water mesh that would be hidden under the terrain are no longer generated, which will hopefully speed things up a little bit. Next up, I improved the batch rendering system, which, if you remember from the first devlog, batches together the data for all the static objects in the scene, allowing them to all be rendered in one draw call. The batch data is continuously changed as the entities are updated, added or removed from the scene, so this week I worked on minimizing the number of memory updates that need to take place by carrying out multiple changes to the batch in one go. For example, if an entity is removed from the batch, then the system will try to add any new entities into that gap, plus shifting around local memory chunks to remove gaps and to reduce batch size. This allows these three actions to be carried out while only requiring a single chunk of memory to be updated, whereas the previous system would have required one update per action. Another thing that I worked on this week was improving the loading of audio files. Large audio files like music can take up a huge amount of memory when loaded up, and this can very quickly become a problem if you want to be able to use multiple different music tracks and sound effects. So this week I worked on streaming the audio data from the files when the audio is playing. The way that this works is that for large audio files I initially only load up the first 3 seconds of the audio into a buffer. Whenever the audio starts being played, the next 3 seconds of the audio is loaded up into a second buffer, and this is queued up to be played once the first buffer is finished. When that first buffer has finished playing, the next 3 seconds of audio can be loaded up into it, and that then gets added to the end of the queue. This process continues until the whole audio file has been played, allowing all the audio to be played continuously without ever having more than 6 seconds of it loaded up at any one time. So that's the engine for Equilinox pretty much finished now, and apart from a couple of loose ends that need tidying up, I can basically start working on the gameplay. I'm not going to start work on it just yet though, because I'm going to be taking a little bit of time off over the next couple of weeks to go back to England and visit my family for Christmas, but as soon as I get back in the new year, I'll get started with the gameplay features. There will still be 2 videos next week, so there'll be a tutorial and a behind the scenes devlog, but then after that there will probably be 1 week without any videos, and then I'll be back to the usual schedule the week after in the new year. For this week though, that is it. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you all have a wonderful time over Christmas, and I will see you all next time.